for your trust. That means a lot to me. Let's go to Peter Brusso, Dr. Peter Brusso, who is in Mecca, California. Peter, welcome to the show. You never have an opinion on anything, I know.
I know that. How you doing, Tom?
I am always great to hear. It's always great hearing from you, although I do feel often awestruck by your brilliance and your mere presence. What's on your mind?
Well, interesting. First off, how are the Germans? We're both German. I mean, how did we become a filthy society there?
I'm going to use 3 words: German dungeon porn, and that's all I have to say.
Okay, well, the case rested. You know.
That's the only argument I have to make. Germans are really, really weird when it comes to their fetishes.
I think they are absolutely true. You know, another group.
The French side, however, we're perfect.
No, they're pretty crazy too. Anyway, one of the things is EMTs. Any first responder wearing one of these things would be fabulous, I think. My daughter is an EMT out of San Diego, and I'm an EMT. And when I was running ambulance at one time, you know, you run into all kinds of different circumstances, and you sure would like to document what's going on, you know?
You know, we just had a call, and you probably heard it when you were on hold, from a lady whose career as a nurse has been basically sidelined because of an attack. But how about HIPAA? How do you deal with the HIPAA concerns of having a patient on video?
I think they have an issue, obviously, in hospitals and stuff, but out in the general JQ public areas, EMTs, firemen, there isn't a HIPAA issue until you get, of course, in the ambulance. And then that brings up my next point. If we're going to do this kind of stuff, we probably have to have some serious IT department for the EMTs, for the police, for the fire, that will sort through and guard this video, and the video would only be used, of course, in case of law. So, you know, there's probably going to have to be some back-end IT people that download this stuff automatically if it isn't already uploaded to the web, but protect it.
Well, and that the biggest concern, as you well know, Doctor, is that the cameras themselves are not expensive. But it's kind of like when you buy a printer. They'll sell you a printer, a great printer, for $50. They make their money on the ink. And the data generated by these cameras, we're talking about terabyte after terabyte of data. And as you well know, because computers are also an area of specialty, because everything else is your area of specialty as well. I'm somewhat envious and jealous, as you can probably tell. But the actual storage of this mountain of data is going to be very costly.
Well, actually, not. With the MP3 format, you can do 24 hours of just like the same industry you have for your home. If you're going to film your home from your security camera, it's a couple hundred megabytes. It's not that big because the pixel size isn't large. And so, you know, storing this data and then archiving it, I mean, data storage is cheap, even in the cloud. You know, so it's not like it used to be. Like when we shoot an hour video, it'd be like, you know, 5-10 gigabytes, right? Well, that's high-end stuff. These cameras already compress at MP4 quality. I said MP3 earlier, but it's MP4. And basically, those are fairly small file sizes.
Well, when you multiply even those file sizes by, let's say, a 100-officer department, doesn't that change the equation markedly?
No, I don't think it does. I think you can, storage is so cheap these days. You know, I mean, you can get 3 terabytes for $100, and they couldn't run through 3 terabytes in 3 months or 4 months maybe. But then again, you have it cycled. I have a project where we want to film and it's going to run over itself every 10 minutes, for example. You know, if the guy comes in a day and there was no issue, you archive it for 30 days and you dump it. And so this officer shooting thing, which was just awful, you know, they would have grabbed that data right away. If there are no issues, normal stops, DUIs, things like that, you hold them for 30, 60, 90 days and then dump them.
Well, here in New York State, when you have a very limited time, and there are exceptions to this if you can prove extraordinary circumstances, But I think in New York State we have a 90-day window in which a litigant can file a notice of claim against a government entity. So the data would presumably have to be held for at least 90 days.
Yeah, so you go 120, get the right storage size, and then start dumping, and then it's pretty much steady state. You know, what comes in also will go out in time. You know, so that's not that big a deal. But I do believe, and I film myself quite a bit on the mat, as you well know, you do forget that you have a mic or a camera on you, and you do the darndest things, and then pretty soon you forget about it altogether, which really starts to show what really is going on. And I think in that case, you know, we also don't get a chance to get much of a flavor for the police themselves. You know, most of these guys and girls are just phenomenal people. And, and if you can catch the flavor of these people whilst they're doing their job, even if they were slightly tainted with what their decisions were, which happens. I mean, that unfortunately that happens. That's the nature of the beast, you know. It could weigh the whole thing in their favor, and take away all this nonsense of we can't trust cops.
Overall, you see this as a win-win. Now, you're in Mecca, and are you familiar at all with the program in Rialto, California? Understanding California is kind of a big state.
No, that's over the hill. Remind me?
Well, anyway, what they've done in Rialto is they have done cameras on all officers, and the statistics are in. As of March of last year, after 1 year, the use of police physical force on citizens fell 60%. The complaints against officers fell an astonishing 88%.
Yeah, as you like to say, the math doesn't lie, you know? It's there. Those are the stats. That would go across the whole United States.
Well, Dr. Peter Brusso, I have to break because I'm running out of time. I do hope you enjoyed seeing your picture on my Facebook page on WBEN and the stunning resemblance between yourself and Dr. Frank Brusso on stunning public display for all to see.
Yeah, one of my daughters, Megan, one of my twins said, "Oh, duck lips. They live long." Apparently, we got duck lips. It's
all right,
pretty
man.
amazing.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks.
All right, Pete.
All right,
Dr.
bye.
Peter Brusso. Bye.